today with the flying car. Does anybody recognize this image? This is taken in flight in 1947. This isn't photoshopped. But what I want to bring out to you and kind of get you thinking about is this is always our ideal of what future technology is going to bring us. We're all going to have a flying car someday. But what I want you to kind of think about today is the here and now of technology. We hear a lot about brain drain. We hear about, losing the best and brightest from our society. They go off and, but then again, there's only so many jobs in the Rochester region for someone who wants to study the migration patterns of tuna. Some of us are just going to have to leave. But what I want you also to think about is this image here. This is a use of technology in our society for some of the very basic jobs we offer to those who do stay here. And when we start thinking about brain drain, we're thinking about the very few in our society. When we think about technological literacy, we need to begin thinking about this image because this affects the many. And then one of the issues that we have is that technology for many of us is ubiquitous. We talked about our cell phones and smart objects and everything that we've got. And most of us tend to think of the technology we have as easy to use, like flipping the light switch. However, most people see technology like this light switch. Does anyone know how this one works? I can't really tell you. It looks like it might dim and it might control 3 things, but we don't know for sure. The next thing we need to think about as far as technological literacy is where we in Monroe County, Rochester, even in the United States as a whole, live in this technological literacy spectrum. In places in the world, children are getting laptops. Every single child. This is a rollout for 1 laptop per child. Countries such as Uruguay have committed to giving every child in the nation one of these green little machines. And they're all learning to use computers. And so while it is important that our children begin using computers, we also need to be thinking about the adults in our society. Because what we also have in Rochester is we have a lot of this. Most companies will have a 3 to 5 year refresh cycle. And what that really means is if you're on a 3-year refresh cycle, every year a third of your computers end up in this pile. And they go off to somewhere. We don't want to think about it. We've seen little bits about, children, rummaging through this stuff overseas. But I'm saying that this equipment could stay. It could be here. This machine is actually one we own. It originally came with Windows 2000, so it's really cracking on the current technology. If you look closely, it even has the Franken screen because the screen is too wide for the keyboard because it's the old screen didn't make it. But the point is that machine is old, it works, and it might be considered as a glorified typewriter. But I can use that machine, I can get things to work, I can type with it, I can begin learning what the method to the madness is as far as how computers do operate. And the reason that's important is this list here has come right out of Wikipedia. It's just a screenshot. And what I want you to take a look at, especially like undo operations. In Windows, it's Control-Z. In Apple, it's Command-Z. And in the last 2, which are various forms of Linux desktop environments, oh my gosh, it's also Control-Z. Control-P works the same way, Control-S. All of these things are the same. We have these conventions that we're using, but so many people don't know them. So that when they sit down at the hiring center to get a job at Walmart or Target or any other store, they're faced with this problem of not knowing how to even apply for a basic job. And with this image here, I want you to be thinking about how many places in Rochester can you get an MBA? At least 3. How many places in Rochester can you go to learn computers? The librarian doesn't have time to teach you to use the computers at the library. But where could you go to sit down and use computers to truly educate yourself so that you can be part of this new common denominator, this new basic skill? Because what we're going to come up with later on is this technology is not going away. We're going to have more of it. Even in the most basic jobs that our society offers, someone is going to have to interact with a computer at some point. And as a community, we need to be thinking about, yes, brain drain may be a problem, but the bigger problem is that in 5 years, where is our workforce going to be because of computers and with technological literacy? Thank you.